Hello third year historians, and welcome to our first lesson after the Christmas holidays and our third lesson in our Mafia topic, which is where everyone is starting off with from before Christmas. So this lesson is all about reasons why people from Italy that we've been looking at would have wanted to come to America, and in particular we're going to be looking at two types of factors that would have explained why Italian people went to America, and these are push factors and pull factors. So obviously our Mafia topic, two success criteria points for this. You need to be able to describe what push and pull factors are, and you need to be able to explain why people left Italy for America. So if you have your jotter, use your jotter. If you're using a notebook or if you're doing this on a Word document, that's absolutely fine. Just make sure you keep your record of your information because you will then need it later on. Put the heading push and pull, and then play the slide or the video from here and move on to the next task. So when we talk about push and pull things, we're referring to any reasons and factors that would make people leave their country or emigrate. So when people choose to emigrate or leave one country to go to another, we would look at these reasons and we would categorise them into two different types. Things that push people out and things that pull people in. If we think about what the difference between these things might be, a push factor is obviously going to be something that's almost forcing. The word push kind of feels like it's something forcing you out, whereas a pull factor is maybe something that's drawing you in, something that you would really like to have that you don't have where you are, that means that place is a better place for you to go. So like today, for example, people sometimes leave Scotland to go to Australia because the weather is nicer in Australia more of the time, and that would be a pull factor that pulls them out. A push factor, on the other hand, might be, for example, during the Highland clearances in Scotland many years ago, the farmers and crofters who lived on the lands in the Highlands were forced off by the people that owned the land so that sheep farming and things like that could take their place. So they were pushed out and they went other places because they had no place else to go. So those would be two examples. So when we think about this then, push factors are factors that force someone or a group to go to a new location, so that's forcing them out, and pull factors are something that attracts someone or a group to this new location, so it pulls them in. So in your notes, wherever you're doing this, put the two headings push and pull and just write the definitions that are in each of the boxes beside each one, because you really need to know the difference between the two of them for this lesson, and that's one of our success criteria points. So when we think about things like push factors, they're going to be negative things, so things that want to make you leave your homeland. Pull factors are going to be positive things that make you want to go somewhere new. So pause the video, write these things down, and we'll come back at roughly about 3 minutes and say 17 seconds in, and you can go from there. So some examples that we might have then of push and pull factors might be, for push, they've got persecution, so they are being persecuted by it. It could be a government, it could be politically, it could be by racial things, it could be fear, they're living in fear of arguments between the government leading to conflict or rioting or violence. They could be living in fear of the threat of war. It could be high unemployment rates, for example, in an area. Maybe jobs are not as easy to come by anymore. Poverty might have happened because of famine and other things. It could be natural disasters, so like earthquakes or tsunamis have led to increased unemployment and poverty, but then obviously damage and homelessness, so people leave to go in other places as well. In terms of pull factors, our examples could be new opportunities, so it could be that there's new industries and jobs available someplace else that aren't available in their home countries or wherever they are, so they go to this other place. Employment might be better there, they might get more money, so there's greater wealth, greater opportunity, it just might be more stable. Okay, maybe they don't have as much warfare or conflict there, so it's more stable. And it could be that their friends and family have already left and they've gone to these places and are writing back and saying, this is wonderful here, you should really come, and they can then go over and stay with their friends and family so they don't feel homesick or feel like they've lost out on anything. So when we think about the Italians living in Italy and going to America, which is where we're talking about the Mafia really becoming the big thing that we talk about and know from media and things today, we're thinking about what ones of these things actually applied to the Italians. So to do that, we're going to do a quick task. So this table has information, both push and pull reasons, about why the Italians in particular would have left Italy to go to America, why those two countries are involved in this push and pull, because push and pull migration happens everywhere. So we're thinking about why these two countries. So what you're going to do is pause the video, read through each one, and I want you to make a table with push reasons on one side and pull reasons on the other side about why the Italians would go to America. So you're looking for summary information. So you don't want everything, obviously, that's going to be on it. You just want to summarise it. So for example, the first one here, it says between 1857 and 1915, around 250,000 people were killed by natural disasters. It names them. Many more were left homeless. Most natural disasters occurred in the south of Italy around Sicily. So we might take that first bit in bold and just say that they were left homeless or it happened in Sicily, and we'd write that bit down. For this one, at the other side, it says many Italians travelled to America to join their family and friends. That's all we need, because we know that that is a reason that we've already talked about that we could use. Okay, so pause the video, draw your table. It might look something like this on the next slide. Push reasons and pull reasons. Okay, draw your table out, write them in, and we'll come back to actually going through it at roughly about 6 minutes and 40 seconds. So now you should have drawn your table in. If you haven't, we're going to go through this and just make sure that you make a copy of this table then that we're actually doing on the slide, and then we can move on to the last task. So again, we've taken this information and we've put it into push and pull reasons. So the one about the natural disasters, that's a push reason, forcing the people out because of the disasters, and we've just summarised that information a wee bit there. Other push reasons, Italy had organised crime and this became mixed with politics, making it an unlawful society, so that would have pushed people out. Italy declared war on the Austrian Empire in 1866, so again that would have pushed people out because they were frightened of going to war. Great crop failures and famines in the 1940s, and this led to starvation, disease and huge poverty. So those things, disease, starvation and poverty, are all things that would force them to go someplace else. So we wrote down all of those ones. And then poor education in Italy is our last push reason. So wanting a better education, go to America for that. Pull reasons then, we've got this establishment of Little Italy districts, so homes away from home, which meant Italian immigrants maybe felt that they were a little bit more connected to their homeland and to their culture and their heritage, so they felt more comfortable about leaving, and that was a pull for them because they wanted to go but didn't want to leave behind everything that they had been, so this was a big pull. There were many jobs in America for these unskilled workers. Again, that's a big pull reason because a lot of the workers in Italy would have been unskilled and they couldn't necessarily get jobs anyplace else, so this was a big thing. The one we said about them travelling to join their family and friends, again a big pull reason because their family and friends were important to them and it meant they had someplace to go when they got off the boat. Much better medical facilities and a higher life expectancy in America meant people were more likely to go there because it was better for them. And also America offered an increased wealth and a better standard of living in general. Now we call that, at the point in time we're talking about, the American dream. So America was supposed to be this amazing dream country that people could go to just get all of these amazing things, and it would be better than where they were previously. So that was one of the major pull reasons that brought people from Italy and other places to America at this point in time. So pause the video if you haven't already made a copy of this, put your push reasons on one side and your pull reasons on the other, and then move on to the next slide. So this slide just gives you a wee bit of information from an Italian immigration census that the United States had, and I'm just going to break this down a wee bit for you so you can kind of see how the numbers start to increase. So the bit that we've squared off in blue here, that would be just the steady increase in numbers as things like general movement happens and people start to move more and more as time goes on. You've got steamships and things being developed, so travel's a wee bit quicker and things as well. So as the time goes on into the kind of 1879 era, that's why that number started to climb quite drastically. And you can see in some places that it's quite high and then it dips, but that'll probably be because of maybe famines, or it could be because of natural disasters and things happening. The next bit that we have in red here shows you where we've got really steady increasing numbers, where there's an awful lot of natural disasters, earthquakes and tsunamis, other things like that happening in Italy, and the travel is much cheaper because steamships are being used. It doesn't cost as much for a ticket, so even poor people can actually afford to go, and as soon as they can afford to go with all these things happening, they just do, they just run for it. Green section here. Okay, we've got even cheaper and faster travel. There's a big boom between the 1900s and 1914, which then stops for a wee while because of the First World War. You can see 1914, it's huge, and then it stops because the war starts, and there's about 3 million people coming into America at that point in time to avoid the conflict and things as well. The last bit that I'm showing you here is in yellow, which is the steady sort of bits where it's actually just normally quite normal between the end of the First World War sort of time and then the Second World War, and then you can see that it starts to decline a wee bit during those periods and then starts to increase again in the kind of 1940s into 1969. So again, push and pull factors will change depending on what's happening, but a lot of these people are coming in and out of America. So, task for this lesson. You can choose which one you want to do. You're either going to create a poster or you're going to do a creative writing piece. If you're making a poster, you can do it in your jotter, you can do it on paper with pen and pencil, you can do it in Word, you can do it on any sort of poster making things that you might have. If you don't have anything, I would really recommend you check out Canva, which you can put into Google. It's just Canva. It's a free poster making tool. It's really quite easy to use, so you could use that. And if you're making the poster, basically what you're going to do is you're going to imagine that you are from the American government and you're creating a poster with information as well as images to try and encourage Italian people to come and fill jobs, come to America. You're going to use the push and pull reasons that we've looked at as an example for them. Make sure you mention them, so talk about the push thing, so why would you live in this disastrous place, look at all these horrible things happening, and then look at how amazing American life actually is going to be. So play on the horrible things and how much better it's going to be in America, and use this information to make your poster. You're trying to encourage someone to go. If you're not a poster person, you're not artistic that way, you don't want to do that one, you could do the creative writing piece instead. And this one's going to be basically like a letter. You're going to imagine that you are an Italian immigrant who has started a new life in America. You are then going to write about your life here in America, using the push and pull factors to write home to your family, try and encourage them to come and join you. So you would explain all the good things that you get, how great your life is, all the things that you were worried about in Italy. So you talk about all these push factors and how they're not things like that in America, and how great life is, and talk about the pull factors and things there. Okay, so either poster or creative writing piece, and then either take a photo of it or upload it if you can to your team in the assignment tab for this week, and let your teacher know if you have any questions.